Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of HPU All Access. I'm Riley Mannion.
And I'm Reese Harnett. We have lots of High Point news coming your way, but first let's head over to Shreya with the weather. Shreya?
Thanks, Reese. I'm Shreya Rada here to give you a look at our weather. Today was cloudy with a chance of rain, and we're going to follow that trend tomorrow. It's going to be a high of 64 and a low of 47 with a 70% chance of rain, so make sure you bring your umbrellas. Going into the weekend, we're also going to be cloudy with a chance of rain, but on Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be having dry weather instead of rainy weather with a high of about 55 on both days and a low of 28. And then moving on to next week for Monday and Tuesday, we're going to move back into that cloudy weather with about a 20 to 30% chance of rain. That's all for weather. Back to the desk.
I just feel like we can't win with the weather.
We can.
Once it starts to warm up, then we get the rain. It's just.
I know, and it's super warm one day, and then and it just happened. I was wearing shorts. I pulled out all my t-shirts. Now I've got to go back to jackets and pants.
Exactly.
It's not fun.
Can't deal with it.
No.
Well, after being missing for 2 years, 4-year-old Paisley Schultes was found underneath the stairs of a New York residence. She was reported missing on July 13, 2019, and was suspected to be abducted by her non-custodial parents, Kimberly Cooper and Kirk Schultes Jr. The police received a tip about the girl possibly hidden in their home. According to the release, Detective Eric Thiel had noticed that the wooden steps were odd and that something was out of place. He used a flashlight to shine a light through a crack between the steps and saw what he thought was a blanket. Upon inspecting the staircase, the structure appeared to be solid. However, detectives used a tool to remove several of the wooden steps, and that it was when detectives saw a pair of tiny feet. The investigation is ongoing and arrests have been made.
Earlier this morning, a huge police presence, including a SWAT team, was seen at a Triad apartment complex. Police blocked off access to Advenir at Adams Farm in Greensboro, and according to officials, U.S. Marshals were trying to serve a warrant on someone inside the neighborhood. After a standoff of about an hour, the suspect walked out of the building and was taken into custody. This person had multiple out-of-state warrants, and officials say that the man had barricaded himself in the home with 2 adults and 2 toddlers. Police set up an area for one section of the complex to evacuate during the standoff, and residents in this area were able to come back to their homes just after 1 p.m. when all of the police were gone.
Now let's head over to campus update reporter Grant Hines to hear the latest about what's going on at HPU. Grant?
Welcome back to another edition of your campus update. I'm Grant Hines, and these past 2 weeks have been jam-packed with events and activities around campus, so let's hop right in. Students heard from HPU's global leader in residence, William Kennard, in the How to Land a Job seminar, where he gave students advice on leadership, the economy, and how to communicate effectively to land a job. Also in the realm of career and professional development, HPU just received a 98% rating, signifying the number of students who were employed or are in grad school within 6 months of graduating from HPU. Hopefully the Panthers can keep working hard to increase that number. Coming up this week, the Wannick Cinema is back in business, screening hits like The Notebook, the James Bond franchise's No Time to Die, as well as Soul and Just Mercy to celebrate Black History Month. And lastly, if you want to show your school pride, devour some savory food, and be on national TV, then come out to the most highly anticipated men's basketball game of the year at the stunning new Cubain Arena tomorrow. The team is taking on Longwood at 9 p.m. and be sure to get there before the game starts at 7:30 to enjoy the pregame festivities, including food, music, giveaways, plus a live drummer face-off from HPU's own Chris from the kiosk and security officer Miss Val. You won't want to miss this action-packed once in a college time night, and that is your campus update for this week. I'm Grant Hines. Now let's head over to Brooke Ruffin for the sports report.
Thanks, Grant. Coming back from the break, we'll talk about the latest in sports in HPU athletics.
Welcome back to All Access. Our sports reporter Brooke Ruffin has the stats on what's happening in the world of sports and HPU athletics. Brooke?
Thank you and good evening. I'm Brooke Ruffin with your All Access Sports Update. What an exciting weekend for sports fans between Super Bowl 56, the 24th Winter Olympics, and the Phoenix Open. At home at HPU, there is excitement for Panthers as well. First up on the track, Records are meant to be broken, and 2 were broken this past weekend as HPU track and field competed at the Darius Dixon Invitational in Lynchburg, Virginia. Hossein Botrak not only broke the Panthers school record in the 3,000 meter with a time of 8 minutes and 12 seconds, but broke Olympian Taylor Millen's record as well, which has stood since 2005. Letiza Morsico broke her own record with a shot put throw of 14.2 meters, shattering the women's indoor shot put record. Meanwhile, Sydney Horn finished first in pole vault at the Bulldog Open in Birmingham, which will be the site of the NCAA championships next month. From the track to the courts, women's basketball took a win of 75-59 over USC Upstate this past Saturday at the Cobain Arena. Strong team plays included 24 points and 10 rebounds from Jensen Edwards, 16 points from Sydney Johnson, and 15 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds from Jordan Edwards. After a tough fall to Campbell, 46-60 this past Saturday, Tubby Smith, head coach of the men's basketball team, has stepped down for the rest of the season, with his son Gigi taking over. The men's basketball team took on Longwood twice this past week. Currently, HPU is ranked 38th in the nation in block shots. Zach Austin leads the Big South in rebounding, averaging 8 per game, and Wright is leading the Big South with 19 points per game. Come out to support the Panthers at the Cobain Arena in their first nationally televised game tomorrow at 9 p.m. And from the court to the fields, it was an amazingly close game with #1 ranked Virginia this past weekend as men's lacrosse fell by a margin of 10-11 in Charlottesville. Scoring 2 goals apiece were Asher Nolting, Michael Ippolito, and Braden Maya. Next game will be against Navy on February 26th. Although HPU fell to Davidson in their season opener 8-12, not all was lost as Abby Horms became the Big South's all-time leader in goals with 213. Come out and cheer on the Panthers as they take on Duke this Sunday at 1 p.m. at Vert Stadium. And a big congratulations to the Rams, our Super Bowl 56 champions, and Sam Ryder for a hole-in-one at the Phoenix Open. The countdown is also underway as the Daytona 500 is this Sunday afternoon. That is all for your All Access Sports Update. I'm Brooke Ruffin.
Thanks, Brooke. Now we're joined at the desk by political correspondent Will O'Brien. Will?
Thanks, Riley. The White House and the Pentagon are now warning that American citizens still in Ukraine need to leave within the next 24 to 48 hours or as soon as possible as threats of a Russian invasion continue to grow. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said in a statement, quote, "The president will not be putting the lives of our men and women in uniform at risk by sending them into a war zone to rescue people who could have left now but chose not to do so," end quote. The State Department Press Secretary Ned Price also said that estimates they received from the embassy in Kiev last October suggested there were anywhere between 6,000 and 16,000 U.S. citizens in Ukraine, including American tourists and visitors. Some reports have even come out putting the number as high as 30,000. Although a Russian invasion remains unconfirmed as of tonight, there are growing fears that Russia could advance before the end of the Winter Olympics on Sunday. So I keep hearing reports about this and on TV and in the news. Everybody's like, any day now, any second now, and the suspense is just killing me. What is going on here? How do you see this playing out?
I know. I remember we talked about this the last time we were all on together.
Yeah, a couple weeks back, yeah.
It still hasn't happened yet, but now they're saying anywhere between 24 to 48 hours, so I think that's just something to keep an eye on.
Well, and by keeping an eye on it, we all need to be keeping an eye on this. You know, but based on what we're looking at here, this is not that, you know, different from what we've seen in the other world wars. You know, somebody invades someone else, and then other people have to come in. So I'm glad that we're saying, hey, we're going to try and keep our way out of it for a little. But I mean, we just have to see what happens at this point and hope for the best.
Mm-hmm. We certainly do. With changes in COVID trends, certain states are now ditching their mask requirements. New York, New Jersey, California, Connecticut, Colorado, Oregon, and Delaware have all adjusted their masking policies for schools and indoor businesses. These decisions have been cited to COVID case numbers and high vaccination rates for their recent decisions. But whether or not these mandate lifts will stay intact remains in question. There has been a decrease in COVID cases over the last 30 days, but will this change after the recent change in guidelines for bigger states hold? So keep seeing these different changes. It keeps changing all the time. The science, we keep hearing the science is changing. How do you see the current state of the pandemic, and is it receding? Is it on its way out?
I like to think that it's on its way out. I think we all would like to say that it is.
Yes.
But personally, I just don't think it's one of those things that it's like, and it's gone.
Exactly.
You know, it's going to take more time, as long as it's already been a lot of time, but I think we still have years to go on of us worrying about this and trying to really figure it out.
Yeah, and I think based off of the trends of lifting mandates and then what happens with the cases, as soon as the mandate gets lifted, the cases go back up.
Right.
So I think that's unfortunately something that we're going to be seeing again with these new mandates being lifted in states like New Jersey, California, and all of those places. But I mean, we'll stay hopeful. Hopefully,
I think
we
the
can
key
keep
is to
it
not
down.
only put vaccination rates up, but the cases stay low when the mandates go away. That's the key.
Yes.
Right. We can hope. Well, thank you for joining us, Will.
Of course.
Coming back from the break, we meet one of HBU's student leaders.
And how a North Carolina girl started a cancer campaign. These stories and more are next.
Even though there is so much against us,
You will see me choose to protect myself and my community from the coronavirus by wearing a face covering.
Because it's going to take all of us thinking about one another.
And even with my face covered, you will see me.
You will see me as a mother, a wife, a friend.
As an athlete who gave everything to the game I love.
As a father, leading by example.
As a sister.
An entertainer.
As a champion for my people.
You will see me finding a light in a dark time.
To unlock our creativity and push our craft.
You will see me demanding the space to tell the stories that matter.
As a man who knows that tough times don't last, but tough people do.
join us in wearing a face covering to help stop the spread of the coronavirus.
Because covering your face is one small act of kindness that has the power to bring us together.
Party with people as long as they don't have symptoms. That myth is false. As we've seen, up to 40% of people who have COVID-19 are asymptomatic and can pass it on to others. So I'd recommend avoiding any social parties, especially indoor ones. If you want to try to socialize but reduce your risk, I'd recommend meeting outside in small groups, continuing to wear a mask, and socially distancing from others if you can. Then together, we can keep COVID-19 out of school.
For ways to keep your community safe, go to backtoschooltogether.com.
Welcome to High Point University. On this campus, we are focused on preparing students for the world as it is going to be.
Hi, I'm Steve Wozniak, the Woz, and I'm proud to be High Point University's Innovator in Residence.
I'm Cent Marshall, CEO of the Dallas Mavericks, and I am proud to be High Point University's Sports Executive in Residence.
I'm Mark Randolph, and I'm proud to be the Entrepreneur in Residence at the premier life skills university, High Point University.
Myth. I can party with people as long as they don't have symptoms. That myth is false. As we've seen, up to 40% of people who have COVID-19 are asymptomatic and can pass it on to others. So I'd recommend avoiding any social parties, especially indoor ones. If you want to try to socialize but reduce your risk, I'd recommend meeting outside in small groups, continuing to wear a mask, and socially distancing from others if you can. Then together, we can keep COVID-19 out of school.
For ways to keep your community safe, go to backtoschooltogether.com.
Welcome back to All Access. Today's Student Spotlight is our very own All Access reporter, Anna Harris, here to talk with Lizbeth about her exciting news. Now we send it over to Lizbeth and Anna at the desk.
Hi everyone, I'm Lizbeth Ramirez and I'm joined by our Student Spotlight, Anna Harris. Thank you for being here, Anna.
Thank you for having me.
So, our viewers get to see you every week on All Access, our show, but what they don't know is that you have a new job where you'll be doing this professionally.
Yes, so I'm super excited. I've been very fortunate in the job application process. About a month ago, I accepted a position as a multimedia journalist at WCSC TV in Charleston, South Carolina. So I'm going to be editing, writing, reporting, doing my own packages on a regular basis, doing live shots, and working a lot with social media. Like I know that Facebook Lives, they've mentioned as like an option, but I don't know every little detail yet because I still have a couple more months until I graduate.
Right.
Yes.
That's so exciting. So, I mean, you've been on All Access for 3-4 years, right? What's your favorite part about it?
I think one of my favorite parts is that I came in to college thinking I wanted to just full-time write, and I'm still print focused. Actually, I'm not even broadcast, but being involved in All Access has really broadened my horizons with all that journalism has to offer, and that I've been able to practice broadcast and found out I'm really, really passionate about it. So I really like having the opportunity to do things that I just never thought I would end up doing, because if it weren't for All Access, I don't know what I would be doing post-grad. And then I really like working with the people here. It's such a good, inspiring environment, and I've become friends with people from working here that I hang out with outside.
That's so crazy. I never knew that you were print.
I know. I've been print.
You've been broadcast.
Yes, I've been print the whole time, and I've taken classes that obviously cover both, but
Right.
yes.
So switching gears a little bit, you also have a podcast.
Yes.
With Riley Manton.
Yeah.
What is that like, and what is it about? I mean, I know it's on your free time, but
Yeah.
I have been hearing about it for the past few weeks. What's different?
Yes, so Riley Mannion, who's reporting tonight, as you guys have seen, and I started a podcast earlier this semester. It was kind of over winter break. We were texting about, we got super obsessed with this one podcast and reminded us a lot of like our friendship dynamic, and we're like, it'd be so fun if we had one too. So when we came back to school, we like sat down and planned like what our episodes are going to be about. We record every Monday. We do it in the podcast studio in the comm building, and they release every Friday on Spotify. But it's basically just about who we are and dealing about what it's like being a college student. We go over dating life. We have like funny episodes. Like we had one a couple weeks ago that was like our unpopular opinions and like what gives us the ick. So it's like stuff that's just kind of on our minds, but stuff that we think that people would find funny. And yeah, so you can follow us on Spotify at the For the Record podcast with Riley and Anna, and then our Instagram as the FTR podcast.
For the Record.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's an interesting name.
I know. Because we were like, do we do on the record or we do off the record? And they were like, for the record.
That makes sense. I like that. That was
Yes.
creative. So, I mean, you're going to be graduating in short months. So, do you think that you and Riley will continue the podcast after graduation, or is it just more a college thing?
I think we definitely want to continue it. The only thing that we aren't sure yet is like, I'm going to be in Charleston, he's still going to be here. So I don't know technicality wise how we're going to be doing it, but I think we want to try to do stuff over Zoom, because I know that is possible. Since the pandemic, people were able to do that and record their own podcasts and everything. So as soon as we get the technicalities figured out, we definitely want to continue it, just because we really like doing it. It's a good time to like build our brand, but also be like having like a social hour with each other, and it's a good way for us to like hang out every single week and edit and just do things that we really like to do.
That's so fun.
Yes.
I'm gonna start doing that with everything that I do.
Yes, exactly.
That's so much fun.
I know.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you.
I'm so excited for what you have in the future.
Thank you. I'm super excited.
Well, guys, that's all we have for Student Spotlight this week. Thank you so much again for being with us, Anna, and back to you, Riley.
Now it's time to hear the inside scoop on all things entertainment with reporter Rihanna Dozier. Rihanna?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to All Access Entertainment. With love still in the air this week, we have some juicy gossip that went down this past weekend for our Hollywood lovebirds. First, we have the one and only Pete Davidson. Roses are red, violets are blue. Amid his romance with Kim Kardashian, Pete Davidson sent love to Khloe Kardashian too. I'm sure Kim and the rest of the Kardashian family did not think anything of it, but I'm left wondering, why didn't Kylie, Kris, Kourtney, or Kendall receive any flowers? Moving on, Alec Baldwin and others were named in a wrongful death lawsuit filed by the family of Helena Hutchins. Hutchins was fatally shot last October during a rehearsal for the scene for the movie Rust. Baldwin used the prop gun to fire a test shot, which had been filled with a live round. The Hutchins family is suing Baldwin, the producer, and the production company for the safety of the set. The lawsuit claims the production companies and producers cut corners and chose to hire the cheapest crew available. Director Joel Souza was also injured during the shoot. Prop master Sarah Zachary was also named in the lawsuit, along with assistant director Dave Halls, who, according to previously filed affidavit, handed the gun to Baldwin just prior to the shooting. Halls' attorney said he was not responsible for checking the gun. In his interview with the police, Baldwin stated that the gun was supposed to be empty. I was told I was handed an empty gun. Obviously, this incident was an accident, so the real question that police and attorneys should be wondering is, where did the live round come from and who was it meant for? Leaving you on a lighter note, Timothée Chalamet was seen as Willy Wonka on the set of the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory prequel, Wonka. Chalamet said his Wonka movie is about being okay with the weirder parts of you that don't quite fit in. Wonka is being directed by Paddington filmmaker Paul King and stars Natasha Rothwell, Matt Lucas, Olivia Colman, and Sally Hawkins. Wonka is scheduled to open on March 17, 2023. Back over to you guys at the desk.
North Carolina 8-year-old Harper Harrell started a campaign to help inspire other people dealing with cancer. Harper Harrell was diagnosed with leukemia in mid-October, but is using her journey to help uplift others who are battling cancer as well. She created t-shirts to raise money and titled her new campaign, Brave Like Harper. Half of the proceeds will go towards the cost of medications and medical supplies, and the other half will be donated to the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Her campaign has raised over $27,000, and the best part, Harper is now cancer-free.
The new game craze called Wordle, which was released and popularized late last year, has been receiving backlash after it was bought by the New York Times in January. Players say that since being bought by the Times, the game has become much harder and more time-consuming than ever before. And this has caused some serious uproar from wordies. Taking to Twitter to voice their opinions, players say that instead of a fun 1 to 5 minute game to play while you're getting ready in the morning, it is now like doing a crossword puzzle without any clues. The New York Times replied to these comments saying there has been no change to the algorithm of the game, but even still, players are not convinced. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thank you for watching. Join us next week, same time, same place for HBO All Access. I'm Reese Harnett.
And I'm Riley Mannion. Have a great week, High Point.